This tutorial will help Australian and New Zealand businesses understand the tax mapping considerations when setting up an A2X for Shopify account. We must first advise that the scenario described in this tutorial may differ from your own specific tax obligations. Therefore, it is strongly recommended that you seek advice from your accountant or tax advisor. The detail provided in this tutorial is intended solely for the purposes of technical configuration of A2X. There is no guarantee or assurance provided that the detail in this tutorial is best suited to your specific business needs or that it directly suits your tax obligations. This tutorial is based on a very basic scenario of a business selling online, registered for GST, with taxable and non-taxable sales. In A2X, tax amounts come through as separate transaction lines in your payouts. This is great if you need all tax to be allocated to a single liability account and when you aren't running tax reports directly from your accounting system. But when you do run tax reports from your accounting system, like your business activity statement for example, you need the accounting system to calculate the tax amounts based on the tax rates provided in your accounting system. To achieve this, tax rates need to be applied within the tax rate column in A2X. That all sounds okay, right? GST on sales, that part's pretty straightforward. But what about the tax that has already been separated out by Shopify and then also by A2X in your payouts? And what about the sales with no tax? That's the bit that can seem a little tricky, but we'll cover it all in this tutorial. Let's take a look at a payout entry in A2X to see how it is presented. You will see here the transaction detail listed in the entry. We have product sales, there were some discounts applied, and we also have our Shopify fees here. But we also have these separated tax amounts here. For those that are running GST returns and reports from their accounting system, the separated tax needs to be wrapped back into the applicable income accounts so that the accounting system sees the full gross sales amounts and then accounts for the GST by way of tax rates accurately. This is what you see here, with the discount tax and product sales tax amounts being allocated to the Shopify sales account, with GST on income as the tax rate. The mapping you see here is applied on the Accounts and Taxes page in A2X. Let's head over to the Accounts and Taxes page as shown here. On the Accounts and Taxes page in A2X, you'll see that the page is split by transaction type categories as shown. A2X offers to create a set of ledger accounts for you in either QuickBooks, Online or Xero. These are shown here. We also have the tax rate column, which we'll cover further on. Within each of these categories are the transaction lines we can see in the payouts in this account. The transaction lines shown in each category can differ from one account to the next, as they are based on the payout and order data we are fetching into the account. What you see throughout the next stages of this tutorial may differ from your account, however the general mapping principles will be similar. To expand each category on the Accounts and Taxes page, you click the orange plus symbol here as shown. These are the transaction lines for the discounts category that we can see in the payouts within this particular account. These lines may differ in your account. The default or header category here can be used to set up the base mapping. Whatever is selected in the header account or tax rates boxes will flow through into each of the transaction lines below. The plus symbols you see here will be orange in colour if A2X can see transaction lines within the category. If they are grey, you know that you don't even need to expand the category as there's no transaction lines there for it yet. When setting up and mapping your account, it's sometimes best to disable the auto mapping here so that if new lines come through in payouts as A2X fetch them, you get the chance to check them first before the default accounts are applied. Okay, let's work our way through the categories here, starting with the discounts category. We're going to be using the A2X default accounts, so we'll leave the accounts column as is. In the tax rate column, if we click the drop down button here, you'll see rates listed. These are the tax rates that we can see in your Xero or QuickBooks Online account. In the default header box, I'm going to apply the GST on income rate here so it flows through to the transaction lines below. Now, looking at the individual transaction lines, we have the first one there that says discount excluding tax online store. This line relates to discount amounts that were taxable. The reason the word excluding tax is there is because the tax has already been separated out and is included in the tax category below. We'll cover this further down, so don't be too concerned here. We also have a transaction line that says discount not taxed manual order. This relates to discount amounts that were not taxable for orders processed using the manual gateway in Shopify. And the third line here is discount not taxed online store. This is for discount amounts that were not taxed at all and processed via the online store. For the first line, knowing that it was a taxable discount, we'll leave the GST on income rate applied. But for the next two lines that show the words not taxed, we'll apply the GST free income rate here as shown. And that is the discounts category mapped. We can collapse the category now and move on. Let's skip the gateway transactions category for now, and we can come back and cover that one last. The next category down is the gift card liabilities category. This is where the sale of gift cards and the redemption of gift cards is accounted for. The default account for this category is a Shopify gift cards current liability account. As the plus symbol is grey here, we don't actually have any gift card transaction lines in this account, so there's no need to expand it. Being that this is a balance sheet account, we'll add in the BAS excluded rate here. Moving on, and the next category down is the other category. This is generally used for miscellaneous transactions or charges that don't often occur. In this case, we're mapping our other category to the Shopify fees default account with the GST free on expenses rate. The next category down is the payment and selling fees category. We are mapping this one as GST on expenses, as we've checked our tax invoices from Shopify and we are paying GST on our Shopify fees. This may differ from business to business, so like all of the options in this tutorial, you should check the mapping over with your accountant. The next category down is the pending payments category. This is where pending payments will be allocated in the event of an order being short paid. The A2X default account for this category is a Shopify pending payment current asset account. Being that it's a balance sheet account, we'll add in the BAS excluded rate here also. The next category down is the refunds category. In this category, you'll see that both lines here are not taxed. So for these two lines, we'll map our GST-free income rate. This may differ in your case. You may see some lines that have the words excluding tax, meaning you will need to map GST on income for those. Now we're up to the sales category. You'll see here our first two lines have the words excluding tax. So we'll need to map our GST on income rate here. The next two lines have the words not taxed. So for these ones, we'll map our GST-free income rate. Moving down, and the next category is the shipping income category. In this account, you'll see that the two lines here are excluding tax. So for these two lines, we'll map our GST on income rate. The next category down is the tax category. This is where things can seem a little confusing. But if we think back to the start of this tutorial, where we mentioned that we need to wrap the separated tax amounts back into their income accounts so we can apply the tax rates for the GST, this is it. The default A2X account for the tax category is a liability account. We don't want to use that though, as all amounts in this category will have to be wrapped back to their applicable income accounts so that the accounting system can calculate the GST on the gross amounts. So as a default or header account, you can apply Shopify sales with GST on income. And then for each line in this category, you'll map the applicable income account. So we have the first line, which is discount tax going to Shopify sales. This is because we've mapped our discounts to Shopify sales above. The next line down is a refund tax line. This one we've mapped to Shopify refunds to match the refunds category above. Following the list down, the next two lines in the category are shipping tax lines. So the account for those ones is the Shopify shipping account, as per the shipping category above. The last two lines in the tax category are product sales tax lines. So the account for those ones is the Shopify sales account, which mirrors what we have mapped in the sales category above. So that covers the GST mapping for this account. The last category to review is the Gateway Transactions category. This is where you map the clearing accounts for the expected deposit amounts for the other payment processors that you use in your Shopify store. So any payment processor aside from Shopify Payments. In this account we use PayPal, Afterpay and external bank deposit for our additional payment methods in the Shopify store. You'll see here we've mapped a clearing account for each gateway used. A2X will create a single clearing account with our default mapping. However, I would recommend creating a clearing account for each payment processor or gateway used. These will need to be created directly in your accounting system and then mapped in the Gateway Transactions category as you see here. This concludes this GST mapping tutorial. Again, the scenario or examples here may differ from your specific situation or needs. We strongly advise you consult with your accountant or tax advisor to confirm the A2X mapping.